Hey, welcome home, welcome home. Anyway, welcome home. If you're new here, you are home. You've hit the right spot, and I am here to have a brief conversation with you. You might want to sit back and listen. So you'll know me. I'm Francis, your host of the Unexpected Detour. This one hit a little different. And it all began when I went to a restaurant. So I went to this restaurant with my son, his best friend, and his best friend's two kids. And on the television were those old Looney Tune cartoons we grew up watching. I don't know about you all who's listening, but I definitely grew up watching them. And I found them quite entertaining. And I remember his friend's daughter, she was intrigued by these cartoons. She's 3 years old. She's never seen these cartoons before. And she's just sitting there looking and looking. And her dad is like, don't look at that. Those are not good cartoons. You don't want to watch those cartoons. They're not nice. And I found myself agreeing. I said, you're right. The characters really aren't very nice to one another. So she did turn around for a minute. She's only 3, so, the attention span is a little bit different. But that moment didn't leave me. It took me back to another conversation I once had with someone studying early childhood education. And she had to write a paper. I remember. And it was in the early 80s. And she was like, I wonder what I could write a paper on. And I was like, well, why don't you write a paper about cartoons? And she was like, why cartoons? I was like, have you ever noticed the violence that's in these cartoons? Now, here I might have been in my 20s. So that means for all of these years of growing up, I've watched these cartoons. I found them entertaining. But then as I grew up, I noticed something, the violence. And there was always somebody chasing after the next person, always trying to cause some bodily harm, and no one ever really got hurt. They would fall, get blown up, flattened, chased, trapped, and then come right back as if nothing ever happened. Have you noticed that when you watched them? Characters like Bugs Bunny, always being hunted by Elmer Fudd, that Twiggy Rabbit he was looking for. He would always go a-hunting for the Twiggy Rabbit. And yet Bugs Bunny always came out ahead. And then we have Yosemite Sam. He was full of anger. He was always trying to overpower him. Everybody looking for the Twiggy Rabbit, that the Twiggy Rabbit outsmarted them. Then we have Daffy Duck, constantly competing, trying to prove something. Then we remember Wile E. Coyote. Wile E. Coyote chasing the Roadrunner, setting up traps that always seem to backfire, literally backfire. And what's crazy about this, I just have to say this, Wile E. Coyote had these products from Acme. Now, this is funny. So we have a store up here that was called A&P. It's called Acme. I'm driving by and my son is like, is that the same store that they had on TV? And I'm like, no, that's a grocery store. I thought it was funny. He actually thought that was Acme, but Acme really is a place. It's a stop. So anyway, let's get back to my conversation. Sylvester. You remember Sylvester chasing Tweety Bird? With never succeeding. Because Tweety Bird had Granny there. Tweety Bird was a lot smarter. So we know he couldn't do it. And then we had then even outside of that world, there were the worst characters. No words. I'm sure you're going to know who I'm talking about. They never spoke. But the hits, the falls, the chaos, I said, it said everything. And no words were ever spoken, but sheer visualization. So I don't know if the cartoon was created for those who were hearing impaired, because there were never any words, it was just always did it. But I'm going to go back to Bugs Bunny, because I know it's not nice because I'm saying things about the cartoons, but there was one episode back in that time where I found it to be hilarious, but after I looked at it, it wasn't. After I grew up and I matured, it wasn't hilarious. And it was this one episode where Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck were doing this magic trick. And Daffy Duck couldn't outdo Bugs Bunny with the magic trick. So he comes back and he tells Bugs Bunny, I have a trick that will outdo yours. And believe you me, he had a trick that outdid his, and guess what it was? He blew himself up to smithereens. Now, like I said, at the time, it was funny. I thought it was funny. Even when I think about it, I thought it was funny because he said you can only do this trick one time, and that was the one time that he was doing. Woof. But just like everything else we watched back then, it was funny. But now, when I think back on that moment, I find myself asking a different question. How does a child process something like that? And I think that's what came to my mind as I was explaining to the woman that had to write the paper. And I was like, I wonder if the child is processing what they see, not as a cartoon, but in some kind of way they would get it mixed up with reality. And I guess that was my concern with the cartoon. That I wonder if they really understood these are cartoons. You cannot blow somebody up and think they are going to come back. Okay? You really can. So in their innocent way, they look, they laugh, but what is really being processed in their mind? Because those cartoons, they had no consequences, no lasting damage, just a reset over and over again. And like I said, can children really separate entertainment from reality the way we do? They absorb, they see, they imagine, and sometimes they believe. Now, I'm not bashing cartoons because I used to enjoy them, but cartoons, they've evolved since the 60s and the 70s, I'm sure. And that's not my point. My point is something much simpler than that. Parents have to take time to sit and watch TV with their children and not allow TV to watch themselves. Back in the day, you had the latchkey kids. Latchkey kids, you come home, and your babysitter was your TV. So for us growing up, we watched TV, but I don't think our minds thought the way these kids are now. And I think because there's so much violence out here that they see. They see it, they hear it. Parents are not like when I was growing up, where you're going to have grown-up conversations, and they're going to be grown-up conversations. But now, because parents are now younger than what my parent was, they sit around and they talk. And they're very impressionable, these little kids. Very. They're very smart. Very smart. And that's why I said you don't really know what's going on in their head. You really, really don't know what they're thinking. They're seeing this and they're home. I mean, they're watching it. I mean, I've seen parents, when they go out to eat, they'll give that child that iPad to keep them quiet instead of teaching them to sit there and eat. So, and it might seem harmless at first, but it could carry a different connotation to these children. And like I said, cartoons have evolved, I'm sure. I don't watch them anymore. And if I did watch it, I think I watched the Jetsons. That would be one I would definitely watch. And another one, my favorite, the Flintstones. I love the Flintstones. But that Tom and Jerry, I never could get the hang of that one. I didn't think they were funny at all. So, and understanding all of these things, it creates guidance. You got to give the kids guidance. And maybe the real question isn't those cartoons were violent. Maybe the question was, why didn't we see it back then? Or maybe we saw what we needed to see at the time. Because I really think about it. No matter how chaotic those cartoons were, there were always one thing that remained true. And I said it earlier. They always came back, no matter what happened. Even when Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck did the little stupid magic trick, although you see him up there in the heaven with the wings on, the next episode, he's back again. How is that? Okay? And maybe that's what stayed with us. Not the violence, but the resilience. Not the harm, but the ability to keep going. So, I don't know. Because life has a way of knocking us down too. Life has a way of putting us in situations we didn't expect, didn't plan for, and sometimes don't even understand. And yet, we get back up, we keep going, and we find a way forward. So remember that. Teach your child, get up, keep going forward. So now, when I look back at these cartoons, I don't just see what I understand as a child. I also see what I carry with me without even knowing it. The ability to keep going. The understanding that falling isn't the end. And the reminder that sometimes what looked one way at one stage of life reveals something completely different as you grow. And maybe that's maybe that's not just what cartoons are about. Maybe it's about us. Us. We have to keep going no matter what. Keep going, keep moving forward. And with that, I'm going to tell you, continue to follow the Unexpected Detour. Because in each episode, we do keep moving forward. We don't look back, go forward. Have a good evening.